This training will go over the configuration portion of Aloha Loyalty. Let's go ahead and go on to our demo website. This is not a live site, but this is a site that we'll use to show you how to set up the configuration portion of Aloha Loyalty. So this is the Aloha Enterprise website. And we're going to click on the Aloha Loyalty application on the left-hand side. Now we'll be able to see all the other portions of the application, and we're going to start with configuration. So we're at Welcome to the Aloha Loyalty Configuration Wizard. We are actually not going to be adding any settings. We are going to just be adjusting the settings for the entire company. So we are going to actually double-click on Aloha Loyalty Company settings. Configuration is really the foundation of setting up loyalty, how it works, what information you're going to get from your customers, how many rewards you're going to give the customers, different pieces of information like that. So we're just going to follow through the tabs, and this will be the entire training today. So the first tab we're on is Member Lookup. This is pretty much what the buttons are going to say, what buttons your servers are going to push to literally assign a member to a guest check, and also to look up a member, and then to get a member report. So the first portion, Aloha Loyalty Member Lookup Settings, literally this is the text on the button, so assign member. A lot of customers like to change this verbiage to loyalty member, just completely up to you. And you can have any type of message that you would like to prompt after the button is pushed to your servers. This one says swipe the Epicurean card, completely up to you. This next section, allow members to use other forms of ID. Nowadays, lots of people, they forget their cards, and you always want to have a way to still be able to assign them to a guest check. It's pretty important. So this is just the text on the button that allows you to assign a member to a guest check, even if they don't have their card with them. You don't even have to use this if you don't want to, completely up to you. So check the box if you would like to allow them to still have the ability to be assigned to a guest check, even if they don't have their card with them that day. And again, another message that you can use as a prompt after the button is pushed. This third portion, POS Aloha Loyalty Report button. This is actually automatic. It's the member report button. So your guests can get a report that has some of their information on it and all of the bonus plans that they have, points in, and where they're at with each plan. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the next tab, which is Member Profile. So this tab shows us a lot of information. This is the required and the default profile information. This is the give us your name, your email, your birth date, all of that vital information that you want to capture from the customer for marketing reasons. So you'll see when you're looking at this list, this first section, member profile information, anniversary date, birth date, for example, you'll see as we look down there's some that have an asterisk at the end. Those are actually questions that you can come up with yourself, and we'll look at those in a minute. Those are actually on this fifth tab to the right, company-defined member fields. But let's stay focused, let's stay on this right here, and let's look at these 4 columns across the top. So we have default member profile fields and required member profile fields. We're going to go over those first. One thing you'll notice, all of these 4 columns, the font is blue and they're underlined, and you'll actually see that all over the website. You can actually click on this. It brings up a definition. Like I said, you'll see this throughout the website. Just a quick way to answer a question, maybe something we think people might, not exactly know the answer to, but just a quick way to get a definition. All right, while we're talking about getting an answer, let's look at something else real quick. On the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see a question mark icon and some text in black. This text, it's just a quick definition or an explanation of this page and what you're trying to accomplish. Just gives you a little help here. And also this question mark icon, it is a hyperlink to the configuration document that explains what you're working on this specific page. And you will actually see this icon on every single page on the entire website. If you wanted to go to the help documentation, you can actually go to the help icon at the top right-hand corner of the website, and we'll go ahead and click and look at that right now too. And you'll see this throughout the trainings as well. So here, it opens up a new tab at the top next to our configuration tab, Online Help. And these are all the manuals online. This is all the documentation to actually support the entire website. And so if we click on one, it'll actually bring up a document for us. And let's just scroll down real quick and let's look at one. Here we go. Let's go ahead and click on configuration. That's what we were looking at before. So you'll see a document starts to populate. And as it comes up, you'll see there's an index on the left, and the documentation is on the right. Now, these are documents that you can print out. You can email, for example. You can save them to your computer, but these are very, very helpful. This really does have all the information on it. Literally, this is how we train ourselves. This is what our developers put together when they're developing the product. So these are really good pieces of information. All right, let's go ahead and close this one out and get back to what we're talking about. So let's close this online help tab, and we're back to configuration. One thing you'll notice is I've got 3 tabs open. I can actually work on as many tabs or applications at the same time as I like. All right, so we're back to configuration. So let's talk about this first and second column, default member profile fields and required member fields. So the default might be pieces of information that you want to gather from your customer, but they're not required. You don't have to have them to save their profile, for example. When we go to the member profile, which that is another training class back over here on the left-hand side. We'll look at that in another training. And then our required member profile fields. This would be email address, birth date, first name, last name, those crucial pieces of information that you need. An example of a default profile field, maybe anniversary date for a wedding anniversary, but maybe not everybody is married, but this might be a question that you wanted to answer or have your customers answer. So you can actually check this box. It'll insert that question in the member profile, so they have the opportunity to answer that question if they have an answer for it. All right, let's look at the third and fourth column. Other member profile IDs and display on POS lookup list. Now you remember when we looked at this first tab, this member profile, let's go back to configuration. When we go to, let's go back to the member lookup, that first tab we were on. You remember we have this allow member to use other forms of ID. So we can look up our customers. So say, for example, our server, they're ready to look up a guest. They push this lookup member button. Now we're going to come to a first screen that's going to ask some questions. We choose what those questions are in this third column, other member profile IDs. So generally you just want to keep it simple, and looks like somebody's put some things in here. We're going to edit these and make it a little bit easier. So generally the first thing you're going to ask when someone forgets their card is what's your first name or last name. So when we click that member lookup button, we're going to come to 2 buttons. And from here, from what we just now checked, those 2 buttons would be first name and last name. Now we're going to choose, let's push the first button, for example, and then we would be prompted to type in their name. After we do that, then we would come to another screen, and we would want to validate who that person is. So for example, if we gave the name Ann, we type that in. There might be 20 Anns in your system. So what we'll do is this last column, the display on POS lookup list, this will it'll show every single customer that's named Ann, but then we need to validate which Ann we're looking at. So now we have the opportunity to check these other items here in their member profile to validate which Ann that is. So again, we would generally want to have first and last name just to cover all bases, but then we'll have some other pieces of information like email address or birth date, for example. All right? If we look at the very bottom, we have 2 boxes down here, print sign-up voucher upon card activation, and then print sign-up voucher until member profile information is entered. So this first one, it allows us a quick way to get the customer's information or to gather their information. So that first time you swipe that loyalty card on the POS, it's going to insert that loyalty number into your system or into your database, your loyalty database. You can create your own text, or you can use what is created here automatically due to the required member profile fields and the default member fields that you checked. So let's look at this little printed voucher. Let's click the pencil, and you'll see pencils throughout the website as well. Those are always going to take you to a custom text page. So here we are, create sign-up voucher. Now, what I just mentioned before, you can create your own, or actually this will create itself from the default and the required fields that you checked. But on this one, we use this website for training purposes, so this one's already been altered. And this is actually one that I typed in a couple months ago. So here, we are actually going to refer our customers after they sign up for loyalty to our company website to actually enter their own profile information. Another training you'll learn about MemberLink. It's another application that we have available to you. And you can utilize that to put the responsibility on the customer to enter their own profile information. It's just a hyperlink that you'll actually put onto your own customer website. So we're not going to gather our customer's information here, but this printed voucher, once the card is swiped, with this one, it's going to give us some directional text. And like I said, we typed this in ourselves. So ACES Loyalty Club, please visit us on the web at www.aces.com to enter your profile information and check your points balances. See you tomorrow. This is just a message that we typed ourselves. We can create any message we want here. We can use keywords, and we can also use some font settings if we wanted to do center justified or left justified. Pretty simple. Say if we wanted to do center justified, we just grab this, and I'll just give you an example of how this works. Just grab that and put it up at the top. And I'm just going to put a little hit return. Get down one line. So now this whole voucher is going to be center justified. Just some different things that you can do here. Let's go ahead and save this, and we're going to go back to the previous screen. All right, and we're going to close this. All right, so another option you have here. A lot of customers, they don't like to give their loyalty members points or any rewards until they enter their profile information or it's entered into the system. Just a way to, encourage them to get their information into the system. So if you'd like, you can choose this option as well, print sign-up voucher, until member profile information is entered. So literally every time that customer comes in, the system's going to, when you swipe that card, the system's going to recognize if their information is entered or not. So if you have this box checked and they have not entered their information, it will automatically print up this voucher again, telling them to go to the web, for example, or please give us your information, and these are the pieces of information we need. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next tab. Print display. This is what is going to print out on the guest check at the end of their meal. So member name, card type, card number, credit earned for current visit, reward earned for current visit, current balance for effective bonus. So there's a lot of different options here. I'm going to give you a little example of what a lot of my clients like to do. They do member name. If they have several different types of loyalty cards out there, they'll choose to have card type on there. If you're just using one type of a loyalty card, maybe you wouldn't want to do that, but it's kind of nice for marketing just to keep your brand recognition and have the loyalty type on there all the time. You don't necessarily need to have card number on there. That's completely up to you. A lot of people look at the loyalty cards as a credit card number. It's not really holding money, but it is holding rewards at some point. So you might not want to have the card number typed on there. Just completely up to you. Credit earned for current visit. That's always a good one to have. Reward earned. So if they got a reward, it's nice to have it listed on there. And then current balance for effective bonus plan. A lot of times people will like to use this option here, current balance for all bonus plans. Now you see when I do that, it actually shades out the one above it. So this is kind of an either or, these two boxes. So if we uncheck this, now we have the option to come here and do current balance for effective bonus plan. Now the difference here, this first one that I have checked, it just tells you the new balance of the bonus plan that they received points or they activated that day. The second one, current balance for all bonus plans, If you have 13 bonus plans going on at the same time and you check this box, you're going to be using a lot of paper at the printer, and that can get a little costly. So sometimes maybe you just want to use this first option only of current balance for affected bonus plan. Completely up to you, though. Print custom member message. Again, here's a pencil. You know that takes us to a text page. So this is just another way that you can market to your customers at the end of your receipt. So you have all of this information here, and it will print out on every single loyalty check or for a loyalty member. This is a great way to continue on that, branding with your company. Don't forget to come in on Tuesday for $2 long necks. Just something that you can be changing every day, just completely up to you. Display stored value balance on member report. Again, just some more options here, completely up to you. Another thing to note is print on guest check or voucher. Generally, you just want to use it on guest check, but if you have something that maybe you'd call, say like a call to action, you've got a reward coming up or some important piece of information, after the customer's receipt will print out, it'll cut and then create another voucher, and so it creates a separate voucher from the check that the server would then give to the customer, but just completely up to you. Another thing at the bottom here, mask profile information on POS and Aloha Insight. This is completely up to you. If you do, let me show you here. We'll check the card number up here, and you can see this as the card number. But maybe you don't want them to see the full card number, so you come down here and think, well, I'm going to mask the card. So it gives you an example, and it does it up here as well. It puts asterisks in the middle. Well, one thing you might want to think about, this masks it not only on Aloha POS and on this receipt, but it masks it on Aloha Insight. That means when you're running your loyalty reports, it'll mask the card numbers, and sometimes those card numbers can be used for marketing. If you're going to be sending your list of customers to a marketing company, and they're going to be doing marketing for you on your behalf, this number actually is what a lot of the companies use as the ID for the loyalty member. So you might want to think about that before you want to mask this. So it not only masks it for your customer, it masks it for you as well. So generally, just keep that unchecked and don't put the card number, but it's completely up to you. All right, let's move on to rewards. Just a couple things here. You can actually limit the number of rewards that a guest can receive in one day. There's no right or wrong answer here. It just depends on what type of programs that you're setting up for your customers. So I'll give you an example. Say you wanted to limit them to 2 rewards a visit. So that's if by coincidence they hit 2 rewards, they would get those 2. But anything more, they wouldn't get it. They would only have the option of receiving 2. Well, what happens if you have a bonus plan that they get a point every day they come in? And they hit and maybe you want to limit this to 1 reward a day. And you have a birthday reward set up. But you have this limited to 1 right here. And you never thought about that when their birthday rolls around, they would actually get 2 rewards that specific day. So now that birthday reward is actually going to be queued for another visit. So you just want to be thoughtful of how many rewards you're going to allow. If you don't want to limit them, it's no problem. Just keep it as a 0, and that means you're not going to be limiting them. And generally, when you're planning your loyalty plans out, you're creating an environment for marketing, and you're not wanting to limit what they get. And anyway, the perception from the customer is that, hey, I'm coming in, I'm going to get a reward today. And you might not want to limit that for them. All right, so apply the highest priority. If you are planning on limiting some of your rewards, you might want to think about priority. So in that example, we talked about a reward that they come in every day, they get a point, and also their birthday reward. But maybe you still wanted to limit them to 1 reward a day. We might want to create the birthday plan as the highest priority and use the lowest priority as that daily reward or that daily points plan. That way, they still are only getting 1, but when it comes to their birthday is the one that gets delivered. Just food for thought there. All right, another option here is allow rewards to be queued for a future visit. Definitely want to do that. If you set up a loyalty plan where if they get 10 points, they get a free dessert. Well, the customer actually has to order the dessert, and then the dessert is comped off for free, or comped off 100%, for example. But what happens if the customer hit that 10-point threshold and they forgot to order the dessert? That reward would actually be held in queue, so the next time they came in and actually ordered that dessert, the system would recognize that, and if you choose this option here to queue it for a future visit, it would automatically deliver that reward to them. Another option here is calculate real-time discount rewards based on remaining check balance. Now this is unchecked. This is also one that you can see the definition of, and I'm going to click it so you can see it as I'm explaining it. I want to give you a quick layman's term explanation of this. If you have a guest check that is $10 and your customer is going to hit 2 rewards that day, one reward is going to deliver 70% off, and the other one is going to deliver 30% off. Now the perception from the customers, they're going to get 100% off, right? If you leave this unchecked, they'll get 100% off, which is good because that's their perception. But if that's not how you are rolling out your loyalty plan, and they would get that first 70% off, and there would be a remaining $3 owed on the check, and then that second reward hits, taking off 30% of the remaining balance of $3. So if we check that, that is what's going to happen. They would still owe money on that check. So completely up to you, just dependent on how you're planning on running your loyalty plan and how you're planning on communicating that. But like I said before, if you do not check this, that customer would get both of those rewards and get that 100% off as we explained in our example. All right, and let's see, to go over a couple of these. Rounding options, you generally don't want to round money. It's just completely up to you, though. And then some smart rewards, and the smart rewards will actually be go over that in another training class. All right, so let's go to the company-defined member fields. Now, we mentioned this briefly when we were on the member profile. You remember we have these fields or these questions that have an asterisk behind them, like a favorite hockey team or favorite drink, for example. So this is where we go to set them up, company-defined member fields. So inevitably, you're going to have questions that you want to ask your customers that are not questions that we already came up with, first name, last name, email, for example. Maybe what store do you frequent? And this is a really popular question to ask people. Generally, your client base for your restaurants is going to be different across the board. You're going to have completely different neighborhoods. So maybe you want to market specifically to one restaurant. And a good way to do that is to create a company-defined member field. What store do you frequent, or what store did you sign up in? And we can create a free form. We can allow them to answer us in free form text. That means that they can just type whatever you want. But if you want to be very specific and you're going to use this in the future, you might want to think about using a predefined option here. This creates a drop-down list that then your customers, or you, if you're entering all the profile information, that you have to choose from. So let's just look at this real quick. Let's click the pencil, and it's going to take us to a text page here. Again, I'm going to scoot this over a little bit. All right, so this is just creating that drop-down box. So what store did you frequent, or do you frequent, or what store did you sign up in? So now we're giving them the options. They don't have the option of typing in their own answer and therefore spelling it wrong, because if you're doing a search for everyone that's signed up in Addison, if you type in Addison correctly, maybe someone misspelled it, and then you run an export in your loyalty member database, and then you don't get all of these loyalty customers because they spelled it wrong, and then they don't get your marketing blast. So this is a good an option here to create the answer for them. And I've seen customers that have 100 locations in here, so this is a really vital piece for a lot of companies. All right, but there's just a lot of different fields here, and you can see, I think there's about 30 of them. Yeah, there's currently 30 fields that you have the opportunity to ask questions for. And after you put these questions in here and then click Save, you actually just have to go back in through the application. And then when you come to Member Profile, they're actually listed in here alphabetically with an asterisk behind them. All right. Let's go to Advanced Settings, and this will be the last piece of what we're going to cover in this training. This actually will show on the left-hand side bonus plans assigned to display. Now, what this section will do, you're going to have at some point bonus plans that are expired, that aren't currently being used. But if your customers have points in that bonus plan, it will still show up on a member report. It'll also show up on the member link if you're going to be using the online member link. But at some point, I might get a little confused. Why do I have points in this program? Why can't I get a reward? So these are expired programs, for example. So you can actually suppress those plans from the display. So the display meaning the POS on the member report and also on the member profile online if your customers are using the member link. So pretty simple. All your plans will always be listed here on the left, and if you want to suppress them from the POS and the display, you just move them over to the right-hand side. All right, so there's a couple different options here. Again, they're blue text that you can look at a definition, but only display bonus plans if members still eligible for rewards, print bonus plan information based on replication group. Let me explain this one here. Say, for example, you've got a lot of restaurants that are really close to each other, and you have different plans that work in each restaurant. Maybe if you're at store number 1, if they're going to get a member report, you only want them to see the bonus plans that are activated and they have points in store number 1. So when they go to store number 2 and they say, can I please have a member report, they would only see the points and rewards coming to them at that store. So it's just completely up to you what you want to do, but if you check this option, it will allow them to only see information on their member report that's run at the POS for that specific store that they're at. Just completely up to you. Another option here is POS check settings. Member can be assigned to a check 2 times per day unless approved by a manager. Now this is just a security measure for you. A lot of people like to use this. So the idea behind this is, you never know, you might have an employee who thinks they're smarter than you and they think that they're going to, mysteriously assign a car to themselves or some random mysterious person, and they're going to swipe this